everyone. Welcome to. Okay, hey everyone. Welcome to Threads. We are so excited that you're here with us today. I'm Kat, and these are my friends
Heidi, Danielle, and Kylie.
And today we're going to be talking to you about dreams and why dreaming is so important. You know, over and over again in the Word, God used dreams as a way to accomplish His purposes for the earth through people. I think of Abraham. Abraham, he had a dream for a son. And then in true God fashion, not only did the Lord give Abraham a son in time, but he also made Abraham a father of many nations. And so much life has come from Abraham's bloodline. And even just like reading about him has helped me in so many seasons of my life. And so like dreams are important for bringing God's purposes to the earth. They're important for bringing you fulfillment in your walk, and that is why often the enemy tries to attack your dreaming. That's why often you may feel like, this dream will never happen. I'm too old. I don't even know where to start. Sometimes maybe you feel like you're too busy to even live your dream. The enemy can use so many different things to keep us from dreaming because he knows the power that comes from dreams. So we're just going to be kind of unpacking what it's like to dream, why it's important, and how to do it, and how to walk out your dreams. And so come along with us as we just sit around a table and talk as friends.
So all of us, where we're going to kind of start with this whole process is talking about purpose. Before we can even touch those, we have to know one thing. We were called, we were destined and born to serve one purpose. You were destined and born for one purpose. And if we were to ask you if you've gone to church for any length of time, you could say it would just flow right off the tip of your tongue. You'd say, well, of course my purpose is to know Christ and to make him known. And I think we can say that and maybe not fully understand what that means exactly. So we're just going to kind of unpack that for a minute. So my purpose, your purpose, is first of all to know Christ. In order for you to fulfill the thing that you were called to do, in order for us to fulfill the thing that we were called to do, our purpose, we have to first know Christ. Why do I have to know Christ? Because I cannot know myself. I am the created, and I cannot know what I was created to do unless I know my Creator. I have to know him. Like, it's the most vital step. It's like the very first step to a really long, lifelong journey with him. I have to know who he is, because when I know who he is, I know who I am. And oftentimes I think we live with this tension because we don't know the Creator. We might know a lot about him. We've heard a lot about him. Maybe we're trying to parents or our grandparents do things. But I believe that we will live with this lifelong tension. I know I was created to do something, but I don't know the Creator personally. And because I don't know him personally, there's this massive gap. And so oftentimes I feel like we try, and I feel like y'all can speak to this too. I mean, have y'all experienced a point in your life where there was this gap of, I know I was created to do something incredible, but you weren't necessarily connected with the one who made you to do incredible things? Any point?
Yeah,
Experience that tension.
Basically, I feel like it's an ongoing tension in life. I think that it's possible to even be walking with the Lord, but not fully connected with his heart purpose for you in a particular season. Or maybe to be walking with the Lord, but expecting things to look the way that I've expected them to look, instead of being open to, like, Father, what is it that you're speaking to me during this season? What is it that you're wanting to accomplish through me in this season? Because this is what I've had trouble with, because I trust that whatever it is that you're wanting to accomplish through me through this season is going to bring me the most joy. Like God's never done anything to like let me down, but I feel like so often I'm holding on to this part of my life because I'm thinking, oh, don't take this because like I'm controlling my level of joy here. But the truth is that there's more joy in the surrender. I always go back. I was talking to y'all about it a second ago, but Ephesians 3:20, He's able to do exceedingly beyond what we could hope or imagine in our wildest dreams. But he's only able to do exceedingly beyond what I can hope or imagine to the point that I allow him to go deep inside of me. And that's where the struggle is sometimes. Because, I'm sorry, but sometimes the struggle is because we're comparing our experiences with people to God. How people have made me feel. Now this is how God is making me feel. But God, we can't put him in a box like that.
So know that's the launching pad. You were born for purpose. What is your purpose? First of all, is to know Christ. If you don't know him, you're in the right spot. If all of this is new, you don't know anything that we're talking about, you're in the right spot.
Because we've all been there.
Yeah, exactly.
We've all been there.
Exactly.
You know, I keep thinking, like what you're saying is so good, and I'm thinking, like, what about the people who don't even think they have a purpose? Because like we can tell you as much as we want, you have a purpose, because like we've walked through that doubt, but like there are some people, they just really can't wrap their mind around the fact that they were created to do anything great, or they can't wrap their mind around the fact that what they care about is to bring them joy and to bring life to everyone around them in their sphere. And it's like, what do you do? What do you do in that situation? Just trust us.
The second part of that, we talked about knowing Christ, and the second part is making him known. You cannot make someone known if you do not know them yourself. And I think sometimes, and whenever we refer to the church, I want you to have an understanding, we're not talking about a building. We're not talking about a physical location. Like, we are the church. You are the church. This is church. And so whenever we make references to the church, I don't want you to necessarily associate that with a building. You're the church. And so any change that we want to see, it starts with us.
Yeah, that's good.
So the second part of that mandate is, I want to know Christ. I'm the creator. I need to know my creator, and I want to make him known. And so I think as the church, we have to be really careful, and we can do damage whenever we're trying to make a God known that we don't know. I know a lot about him. I can know a lot about him, but if I don't know him, then I can do damage whenever I'm trying to produce something that I don't even have myself. I cannot give you what I do not have. So if I don't have joy, I can't give you joy, and what I give you is going to be some counterfeit product. And what happens is we end up doing more damage, I believe, to a world who needs something that's real and authentic, when we're trying to give them something that's from ourselves, some type of wisdom. Like, we don't have revelation, we just have a whole lot of like
information,
good compilation of information that we've heard over time, and we don't have this revelational knowledge of who he is, and so we're not able to give the world what they need because we don't even have it ourselves. And so I think we want to be careful. That is our purpose. And if you've been around the church circle any amount of time, that didn't shock you when I said our purpose is to know him and make him known, but there's actually so much more to it. Know your creator. And if you have been doing this thing for a while, know him more. There is so much more to him. So
can we talk for just a second? Like, what are some ways that we can know him more? Like, what are some ways that we can go beyond this surface level knowledge to know him more?
Yeah, so speaking from experience, last week I had referenced in our intro video that I was a recovering churchgoer. And this kind of coincides with that. Having grown up a church kid, I was a part of an awesome group of people. I was a part of a church body, and it was awesome and healthy and thriving. But I was going off of like my parents' faith. I was taking their word for it. They said he was good, so I guess he's just good for me, or good as well. I kind of took their word for it. Or he's wise, and so God's wise. And so I knew a lot about him, but it wasn't until my mid-20s that I decided that other people's word wasn't going to be enough for me. And really it got to a point where I was really just kind of in a pit that I had dug for myself. And I think some of you will be able to relate to that. Like, you're just in a place where it's like, I'm a mess and I just need, like, what I had known about him in that moment, I needed to experience from him.
Yeah.
Like, I needed it to go beyond the surface. So I just started this journey of getting to know him. Some of the practicals I got in his word. I started asking a lot of questions, and I surrounded myself with people that were going to push me to places that
That's
I had
so
not
good.
been before.
That's so good.
I had to get rid of voices that they were not pushing me to the place that I needed to go. I had people in my life who knew what I was, but they weren't saying where I was going. They knew, like, the Kylie that I used to be. They knew the girl, and so they identified me with her. And I needed some people to begin to speak who I was going to be.
That's
I
good.
wasn't her yet, but I needed some people around me who were saying, I know this is where you are, but we believe this is where you're going to be. And
Yeah.
this is who we believe that you really are. And I just began to, like, do life with people who were really real and who loved God. They didn't, who loved God in a messy way. Like, they were walking through process just like I
Yeah.
was. So that was like a practical place for me. If you want to change up your landscape, sometimes you got to change up your landscape. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's
Like,
good, yeah.
if you want to change
I
that.
like that you said surrounding yourself with people who encourage you, things like that, because I really believe that, like, finding a mentor or finding someone who's already been through life and have
Yeah.
done things, and they can, like Kat, for example, like other, like, pastors, things like that, they can speak life into you, and you can learn so much about Jesus by the way they live. If you know, I mean, because they've lived it out, and so I really like that you mentioned that. Now is reading in the Bible, like reading the Gospels, like Jesus' life, like who was Jesus, and so like how can I look like him, and so like that's like super practical for me, like what does he do, who was he, you know, like I don't know, so that's what I do. I really
Where would
like
they
that.
start? I mean, if you were like, I'm new to this, I kind of heard the name Jesus. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
Totally new to the church scene. I'm not even going to church at all, maybe. Where would they start?
Yeah. So like for me, I mean, I just like reading about like Jesus's life that's like in the Gospels, like Mark and like things like that. And so John.
I think John is like or Matthew is such
Yeah.
a great place to start. And what I would say is, I think a lot of people probably like the idea of reading the Bible, but haven't been able to connect with it because, you know, maybe they've only been reading the King James Version.
Yeah.
You don't get the King James?
I read the New King James, just kidding. So like a really great Bible translation, like if you're looking to read the Bible but you haven't been able to connect, I'm going to give you just a few like that I think are super great and easy to read. New Living Translation. So easy to follow along with. It's a great, in the Life Application Bible, New Living Translation. So great for like fundamental knowledge of who Jesus is. My favorite translation ever right now is the Passion Translation. It's like I've grown up in church and it is making the word come alive to me again. And I know that there may be one person at this table who doesn't like this translation, but if you haven't read the Bible, like if you haven't read the Bible,
I don't know who she's talking about.
the Message Bible is awesome to start. It is an awesome place to start. John in the Message Bible is beautiful, and it really, like, in common paraphrasing, explains the story of Jesus really well.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we talked about knowing your creator.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to really find out who he is. And that's where you're going to find out who you are, because when you know him, you'll begin to know you. And when you know you, you're going to begin to find out like what you actually have access to.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't have to stay the way you are because you have some tools, some God-given tools. And it gives you the ability to rise above some of the things that you're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Like they look so big. It's going to give you the ability to actually take a different stance and a different look, a different
Yeah.
approach. You don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to stay
Yeah,
stuck.
I was listening to Sean Bowles speak this morning, and he said something like, the more you know the Father, the more your eyes are opened to what you are capable of doing.
Yes,
Like
so
what
true.
he said, the more you know the Father, the more aware you are of how important your dreams are. And like what your dreams are, like what's possible to do with your dreams. And so that's why it's so important. Like, I want to know the Lord for myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to know
Right.
the Lord through you. I want to know Him
Yeah.
for me. Those are some great tips that you've
And
given.
you need to know the why. I mean,
Yeah.
you just do. Just knowing about him, it won't be enough. That's not going to sustain you.
Yeah.
I mean, life is hard, and you're going to face some really hard stuff. I mean, right? Like,
Yeah.
you just face hard stuff, and there has to be some substance there. You'll never find anything better.
No.
You won't.
Yeah,
You
that's
just
good.
can't. It's impossible. And you can't be disappointed by him. I love how she talked about surrendering the dream. And we're not talking about dreams yet. We're about to pass the thing on over to Danielle, but I
The
promise.
baton.
The baton. But you can't be disappointed with him. I think oftentimes we have an idea of how we think things should look. But whenever you come to this place and it's like, oh wait, no, I'm not the creator, I'm the created, and you're the creator, and you see bigger than me, you know more than I do, and you love me more than I could ever even comprehend, then it allows you to lay everything, every desire, every passion, every gift, everything down, and you can just lay it down knowing that he knows what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so there's no disappointment in the hands of that kind of
Yeah.
God. You cannot walk away from the table wanting. You can't.
Yeah.
You won't. You
It's
won't. You can't. So we've talked about purpose. That's kind of our first tier. I want you to imagine this as tiers. We're going to be talking about our overarching purpose. All of us have the same purpose. Every single one at this table, every single one of you watching, we all have the same purpose: to know Christ, know our Creator, and make Him known. And now we're going to be talking about kind of this next tier that comes right up under purpose. We're going to be talking about dreams. So what is that?
Well, we're going to talk about dreams and goals, but first I want to kind of show you the angle that I'm going to be coming from. So, growing up from a very young age, even through recently, just within the last few years, my biggest fear in life has been failure. I feared failure so much that I would pull myself out of different activities if I even thought I was going to fail. So like I wouldn't even try it because I'd be worried that I was going to fail. So high school comes around. I played soccer my entire life. I get to high school. I was really good freshman year. I moved schools after freshman year and started a new school my sophomore year. And I played soccer, but all of a sudden I wasn't the best anymore. And
It's the worst.
like it really was the worst though, because I had set myself up in this place of, if I fail at this, then I have just failed, period. So
That's good.
I pulled myself out. I pulled myself out of soccer, didn't want to play anymore because I was afraid of not being the best. I was afraid of not measuring up.
I was afraid of the cardio. A different kind of fear concerning soccer.
That's my fear with basketball. I was like, I have to run too much. I'll stick with softball. I like that one a lot better.
I'll be an outfielder.
But no, I really was. I mean, I was terrified of failure. So this is carried through my adult life. And Kat mentioned last week, we were in my backyard filming last week's video, and she mentioned there's a salmon ladder in my backyard, and it's from American Ninja Warrior. If you're familiar with that show, you know what that is. A salmon ladder is something, it's basically like a pull-up on steroids. So you do a pull-up and you have to jump the bar up and continue jumping it up. Really hard. It's really, really hard. So
I
all
used
of
to
a
be
sudden,
able to do 4 pull-ups.
I
used to
that's
be
good.
I
able
used
to.
to be able to cross the monkey bars. Okay.
Hey, that takes effort. I tried. I was like, this is how you do it, kids.
No.
Never mind.
Never mind, I'm not gonna show you. Just let
Couldn't
the
make
kids
it
do
to the 3rd bar.
Just let the kids do it. But I decided like last year, the year before, that I was going to do American Ninja Warrior because I'm so afraid of failing. in American Ninja Warrior, you are going to fail. Like, you're going to fail. And I decided that this was going to be something I wanted to do because I wanted to have to get back up after I failed and face myself that I am not a failure, even if I failed. Like, so when I'm talking about dreams and goals, Kylie really established that we have a purpose. And hey, the purpose is for you, whether you're a Christ follower or not. I mean, you can see that in the amount of self-help books that are available out there. So everybody's looking for a purpose. We have the answer for you. 4 crazy girls sitting in a studio, like, we have the answer for you. Your purpose is to know him and make him known. Now, your dream that falls under your purpose, your dream is going to be unique to you. Your dream is going to be fulfilled in a really interesting, God-ordained way, but it's going to reflect your purpose always. You know it's a God-given dream if it reflects the purpose of knowing him or making him known. So there's dreams, and then underneath that there's goals. Goals are underneath dreams, but oftentimes we get goals and dreams like completely mixed up. We call a goal a dream, and then when we fail at that goal, we think we failed our dream, and we haven't failed our dream. That's why we've got to get these terms like straightened out in our head. So we're really going to talk about that. So why should you dream? Like why should you dream? Why should you?
Well, like,
Until I put them on the
no,
spot.
we're like, oh, yeah,
They
we're
all sit up like, uh-oh.
We're all set up a little straighter.
I mean, we have to dream. Not only does it bring us fulfillment, but our dreams are the way that we bring the kingdom to our sphere of influence. And so that is why the enemy is always attacking dreams, because he doesn't want us to bring the kingdom. But like, that's what dreaming is. So whether your dream is to open a beauty salon or to go to school or to be a missionary, whatever your dream is, it is in order to bring the kingdom. So really, that is the ultimate dream.
That is the dream. So I'm so glad that they said that, because I am going to, I want to change that thought process in your head, or begin to get you to recognize that some of the things that you're speaking as dreams are actually goals. It's not a dream to open a beauty salon, it's a goal. Because it's a how, it's a specific how. The difference between a goal and a dream is that a dream is intangible. A goal is a tangible part of an intangible dream. So your goals are constantly going to be changing within your dream, because they're going to get fulfilled or they're going to get failed. But your dream is always going to remain the same. So I that revolutionized my thought processes, y'all. It really did, because all of a sudden I stopped thinking that mistakes were a bad thing. Mistakes are the reason why you learn.
It gives you license to fail, and then it gives you license to dream even bigger.
Absolutely.
You know, like I remember, I don't know if you were with me. I went to this this worship night, and I was talking to one of my friends. And like in my memory, like I don't know if she was talking specifically to me or if she was sharing what she had said to someone else, but I was taking it as if it were for me. And she was talking about so many artists. I'm a musician. I record music, and she was talking about so many artists. Their dream, like the biggest dream that they could think of for themselves, is to record a record. Okay. Then you record a record, and then what? What do you do after you record the record? Or you record a record, and now what happens because of that? If that's your biggest dream, that's not big enough.
That's
so
way too small.
And if God is able to do exceedingly beyond our wildest dreams, then I'm gonna think, what is the biggest possible thing I could think of?
Absolutely.
Because I'm gonna do that, and it's gonna be for God, and then it's gonna bring me so much joy by partnering with Him on that journey. So I love where you're going.
I was thinking about what is the most iconic I have a dream person?
Martin
Luther King Jr. Right?
Martin. No, I was talking about Martin. Is that what it was? You know, the show Martin.
Gina. I have no idea.
Gina. There we go. Oh no, Martin Luther King Jr. Never mind. Martin Luther King Jr. That's what I was talking about.
Over my head.
You didn't
I
watch
have
it.
no
We
idea.
know. We're like a little
I
bit
can't
like
say
we're
a
there.
little bit. I have no idea.
If you know who Martin is,
Hey, we have your phone
let
so
us
I can
know.
see my notes. Oh dear. And yeah, please tell me, because I don't know. Anyways,
the Black Knight. Amen.
So I was looking at Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, his I Have a Dream speech. Like, what did he say in there were his dreams? And I'm not going to tell you because I actually want you to go read it. It's one of the coolest speeches, coolest messages, sermons, whatever you want to call it. It is an amazing written compilation of this man's thoughts, words, dreams. It's insane. His dreams were big.
Yeah.
His dreams were not goals, but his dreams were intangible. So I know that it's a dream because at the end of that sentence, I have a dream for blah, blah, blah. It always left me with the question, how? How? That's what a dream is going to leave you with.
Yeah.
Your dream should always leave you with a, how is that going to work? How is that going to happen? So if you can easily answer how to fulfill that, then that's just a goal. And that's okay. You need to have goals underneath
Goals
your
are
dreams.
like super good.
Yeah.
Like
Goals
yeah,
are necessary. My husband and I, on January 1st every year, well, or the 2nd or the 3rd, somewhere around the 1st,
there.
we make goals for the year. We don't make resolutions, we make goals. One of the goals that we made this year was to go to the gym 183 times, which is one more than 50% of the year. So like
That's
every
nice.
other day, basically, we want to be in the gym. They're all laughing because they don't like cardio. Whatever.
Hey, my gym is my farm.
See, it is.
My
But-
kids, my kids.
Hey, but I want to tell you, I failed. I failed that goal. I'm gonna fail this year.
Well, go
I had
twice
a
a
baby.
day.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
twice
could you
a day
catch
for
up?
the remaining days.
I could catch up.
Oh, well,
I
that's
just
it
check-
every
just
day.
check your Fitbit watch.
Yes, girl, yes.
I just looked at my watch a second because it buzzed and it told me I'd gone 250 steps this hour, and I was like, no, I've been sitting here, but I'm using my hands so much.
Yes.
That's what
So
I
just
do.
talk with your hands.
Yeah.
But I failed at that goal. That doesn't mean that I failed at the overall dream that is associated with that goal, which is to just live a healthy lifestyle. So each year of my life, each day of my life, that dream is going to be fulfilled differently. But that's a really practical way that you can tell the difference between dreams and goals. You've got to have a combination of all of them.
And just know that if it is something that you can achieve easy peasy, you're dreaming too small.
Yeah.
You're dreaming
That is
way too small. Like, the enemy attacks our ability, our dreaming like he does because he knows what we are capable of.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we don't know. We have no idea what can happen when we partner with God.
Yeah.
And whenever we walk with him in this thing, it's like, I don't know where we're going, but I'm going to take this stance, this position of you just use whatever, like, you put the raw materials in my hand
Yeah.
and you tell me what to do with them.
Yeah.
You've got every single thing that you need. Everything that you need. It might look like you don't have enough, but you have everything that you need.
Yeah.
It might look like you have got like 2 mountains on this side and 2 on the like you're not going anywhere, you're stuck. You've got everything you need.
Yeah.
I mean, even
It's good.
say it out loud, write it down. I've got everything I need. It does not make sense. It doesn't look like I have enough. It doesn't look like I have enough resources. But I've got a God who has every
Yeah.
single thing that I need.
Yeah.
And you tell
Yeah.
yourself that until you believe it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you begin to step into spaces that it might not look like you're smart enough to go into. Like I love how I love the Bible. You got to get into the Bible. If you're not in the Bible, you need to get in the Bible because the Bible is full of people who said, I am too scared to do that.
Yeah.
I am too old
Yeah.
to do that. I am too young to
Did
do
you
that.
really
I
say
don't
that, God?
speak well enough to say that. I can't go there.
Yeah.
I'm going to hide from God because, if you hide, he's not going to be able to find you. Like we just see these
Yeah.
people throughout scripture and they all they bring to the table is, I don't have enough. And God says, but I do.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
do too.
And
You've
those
got
are
what
the
you
people
need.
he chose to put on display.
Yes.
That's what I
Yes.
love.
Yes.
He didn't choose to put the people on display that felt like they were perfect.
Yes.
Right.
Like he chose to display the people that were like, hey,
Right.
like I'm like really questioning here. I'm really doubting here. Like when Jesus
That's
went
okay.
to find his disciples, he didn't go to like the theological seminary.
yeah.
He went out into
Yeah.
the world and just like,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
He
so
had
good.
the most-
Yes.
it's
like
Yeah.
his group of 12 guys, it was the most dysfunctional bunch.
yeah.
I mean,
they were
they-
arguing all the time.
I mean, we had like political zealots, and we had people who
Tax
were like tax
collectors.
collect. Nobody liked those guys. We
No.
don't like
The
those guys.
people
And,
that
like,
society liked the least were the
Yes,
people that that Jesus brought closest to him.
Yeah.
And those 12 people with Jesus changed the world.
The whole world.
And so wherever you're at,
Yeah.
however you see yourself, whatever you think you're walking through or trying to sort through or deal with in your life, if you have Jesus, you have all that you need. And start with whatever you got.
Yeah, that's good.
You know,
Yeah.
like I was telling them earlier, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, and I'm sorry if I am, but there are so many dreams that I have put off for so long because I've been waiting for perfection.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I know, like, oh well, it's supposed to look like this before I get started, and then I just never start.
Right.
And this whole thing started because I was just tired of waiting.
Mhm.
And so, like, we just sit down at a table. We don't really talk beforehand, and then this is what we do, you know? Because, like, it's like I'm doing what I can with what I got in my hand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I have in my hand is what the Lord has given me, and He's just going to walk us through it, you know?
And remember, this is the God, if you're not familiar, there's a story in the Bible where this little guy God took his little sack lunch. Like,
Yeah.
we've got thousands of people on the grass who need some food.
Yeah,
And God took this little kid's sack lunch and he multiplied it.
Yeah.
that's
and
good.
every single person there ate till they were full. And then there was some left
There's
over.
actually, yeah.
Like, we serve the God he's the multiplier of sack lunches.
Yeah,
So
that's
whatever's
good.
in your sack lunch, he can multiply that and spread it out, and you will be full, and there will be leftovers
Yeah,
because he
for
doesn't
everyone
just
else.
multiply for me.
Yeah.
He multiplies for the people around me.
Yeah.
And so you serve a God of multiplication.
Yeah.
You've got everything you need. You're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. Say, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
So,
I'm
yeah.
fine. I am
So
fine.
dream big.
So this is where we get to, like, why is the title called Dreams Are Messy? Because this sounds good, but dreams are messy
Right.
because you have diagnosis. Like, there's cancer. You have kids. Have you ever thought of kids as a hindrance to your dreams? I ain't spiritual enough to not raise my hand to that one.
Yeah.
I have. Because I have a dream, but then my circumstances look like this, and I guess that means that my dream has to go down the road. Like, I'll work on my dream in 5 years because I don't have the time right now.
Right.
Here's what I want you to hear, and I want you to actually listen to this part because this could change your life. You are living your dream every single day, regardless of what your day looks like. If you understand your purpose, to know Christ and to make him known, then every single day that you live on this earth, it matters. And it contributes to your dream.
Yeah.
It's all messed in this house, and it's messy. It's gonna look really messy day in and day out because some days are gonna look really good, and you're gonna go to bed at night feeling like, man, I'm killing this dream thing. The next day you're gonna get up and you're like, where did it go?
Yeah.
Where did it go? I
Yeah.
don't know. Dreams are messy and goals are messy.
So that means we have to live presently.
You have to
Yeah,
live
yeah.
presently. You have to live in your moment. And a lot of times, I was talking and thinking about this before when we did a Bible study about dreams, and we get hung up living. A lot of people dream in the past or they dream in the future, and there's danger in that. And Kylie and I were kind of processing this out a little bit earlier, and man, you were processing out past. There's danger
Right.
if you stick to your past.
I think, the enemy, if you look at the span of the story from beginning to end, the story being the Bible, like, we know the way that this whole thing ends. Like, it's going to end in your favor because he's good. Like, he's already won. Like, he's already overcome cancer. He's already overcome anxiety, depression, frustration, fear, like all of that stuff. It has to take a back seat to Jesus. It just has to. And I think the enemy, he knows what the future holds. So what does he do? He messes with our past. If he can keep us in this place where we are stuck in our past, I mean, you cannot move forward. Like, you cannot move forward with this foot if you have your foot facing this way. You're not going to go anywhere if you're trying to move this way and trying to move that way at the same time. It's impossible. And so be really, really careful. I can speak from my personal experience, and I know that it's all going to look different. Your story is different, but when I had come out of a long season of sin, and some of you, like, things have happened to you, and you didn't ask for that to happen, and you're stuck in a place of brokenness, and you've got this, like, broken cycle on repeat. For me, I made willing decisions. Like, the pit that I found myself in, I dug it myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no one threw me, and it was me. It was all me. And what happened was, whenever I realized and became aware, I began to pursue Jesus and began to just fall in love with him. It was like I realized just how much I had broken his heart. Because the word says he goes with us wherever we go. So if I'm sitting on a church pew, he's there. If I'm in the pit of hell, he's there. Like, he's always with me. And so he was there during that whole season of my life, you know, where I was just digging a little bit deeper hole, deeper, deeper. Sin, bad choice, wrong place, wrong situation. Wrong. And I just would find myself in these same places over and over and over again. And as I began to draw close to him again, I had realized just how deeply I had hurt him. And so there was almost like this mourning process, you know, like I'm falling in love with you. And when you love someone, you don't want to hurt them. And I had realized just how deeply I had to have hurt him. And so I kind of mourned that. There was like this mourning process. Like, I grieved your heart, and I'm so sorry. And some of us, we never have stopped mourning. Like, you've got to stop.
Yeah.
Like, there is a time for mourning. I'm acknowledging that I hurt his heart. But the cool thing is, like, I acknowledge it. And then he says, okay, well, let's take the next step. And some of us, we have never stopped mourning. And like, it's time to stop mourning. It's time to move on, because you've got something that is incredible, and the thing that you thought was going to disqualify you from your future is actually the thing that God is going to use. He's going to take it and he's going to use it to propel you into your purpose.
Yeah.
That's what he does. It is not a period, it's a comma. And some of you have put a period in your story where there should be a comma. I got the
so
diagnosis, but my God is going to use it for this. It's not I got the diagnosis, period. It's not this happened to me, I was sexually abused, period. I was physically abused, period. I made bad mistakes sexually, or I was an addict, or whatever it looks like, however messy your story is, your past is, you have put a period where God meant for there to be a comma.
Yeah.
And he can take all of that hurt and that pain and that dysfunction, he takes it, he transforms it, and he uses it to catapult us into the thing that we were called to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it, but he does it every single time. And he's going to do it with you if you'll allow him to. He's so good. Do not allow the enemy to have you get some rights over your future.
That's good.
We can't undo our past. It happened. I don't even like calling them like around New Year's. We're talking about New Year's, like new year, new me. It's not a new you. It's the same you. It's the same me. You know, like that's not going to change. My past I can't change it. I wish I would have all day long. I wish I could have all day long, but I can't. I can't. And so I've got to take what I've got, which is today and tomorrow and however many days God gives me on this earth, and I've got to do something with that. God, you redeemed this. You're redeeming this. You're taking this, and where I thought that was like a period, you put a comma there. Now let's see what the rest of the story looks like, because you've got a story. You've got a good one. Like, it's so much better than you could ever even imagine. So
really
don't
good.
get hung up in your past.
Yeah.
Live presently.
Hey, and just real quick, what you're saying, it's so good, and it just reminds me of that verse we were talking about for just a second, right before we started, where it says in the last days, in the Word, it says, in the last days, young people will see visions and prophesy, and the old will dream again. Like, they'll dream again. And I think the reason it has to say they'll dream again because it's acknowledging at some point, after living life, after walking through the mess and the mistakes that we make, and maybe the fear or condemnation and everything, like we kind of stop dreaming, you know, and it's like the Lord is cluing us in on the importance of those dreams. Hey, dream again. Like, there is life on the other side of that comma, you know, it's so good. Sean Bolsey was saying the problem with dreams is that too many people focus on the broken side. But the more you partner with God, the more you will believe for the impossible, and the more you will cherish the importance of your dream.
Absolutely. It's good. So you can't live in your past, but you also can't live in your future. You can't get stuck thinking that your dream is just going to be realized someday out there.
So it's not a destination.
It's not a destination. I was reading in Hebrews chapter 11 and chapter 12 as I was thinking about dreams and goals and the difference between them. And Hebrews chapter 11, that's where all the heroes of faith are kind of listed. And it talks about the things that they got to see. And at the end of the chapter, the author says that, I'm going to paraphrase it, that their dreams were never fully realized this side of heaven. They never got to see the fulfillment of everything that they were striving after. So I want you to know that you're never going to see the total fulfillment of everything that you're striving after this side of heaven, because then you would stop, just like Kat said. You would stop dreaming if you saw the full realization of something. So you're going to hit goals, and you're going to hit a lot of goals in pursuit of your dream. But your ultimate dream isn't going to be fulfilled until you're face to face with Jesus, because that's our dream. Right. Our dream at the end of this thing is to obtain the prize. The Apostle Paul says in Philippians chapter 2, I think it's verse 14, that I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Like, that's it. That's where you're heading. You've got a lot of work to do along the way, and it's going to look a lot different for each one of us. But that's the goal. So don't get disillusioned when you think that your dream is so far off. It's not. Your dream is right in front of you every single day. You have a chance to live it out, whether it's in the grocery store or in your home or at your place of work or whatever you're doing. You get to live out your dream, and that's the coolest thing ever. So one of the biggest things that we want to do in this podcast is we don't want to leave you with just like, how? What does that look like? We want to be as practical as we can. So here's what we did. We have listed out for you, we've tried to articulate as best as we can our dreams and some of the goals that we are shooting for, so that you can take a piece of paper and actually do this for yourself. It helps. It's helped me a lot, because once I figured out how to articulate my dream, all of a sudden it became something that I could live every single day.
That's good.
So Kylie's going to start because she's on this side of the table, and we'll just go this way around. I don't want you to think like your dream is not going to look the same as ours.
Right.
Our dreams are not going to look the same as each other. So what you want to do when you're looking at what my dream could be, look at, what do I like to do? What are the things I feel passionate about? What are the things that really set my heart on fire? And start there. Just write that down, and you'll kind of hear some of the different threads in ours so that you can see. So Kylie's going to start.
So a dream for me is to see women and men walking in their purpose and their identity. That's a huge dream for me, to know who they are and to know what they have access to. So a goal for me is that I would get to communicate that in any way I can, either through speaking or writing. That's a goal. I want to be able to inspire people, to point people to Jesus through my speaking or through writing at some point. And also be a voice for the voiceless. So there's a lot of like social injustices that that I would really like to speak into at some point.
So for me, articulating my dream is to see people learn how to suffer well. I think in this life, it's just, we move from one suffering to the next, and you can do it well. So my dream is to see people live in victory, regardless of their circumstances, and experience abundant life in Christ in the lowest places. And so goals that I have set for myself, or not even set for myself, just goals that I have are, I want to write a Bible study. I love unpacking the Word of God, so I want to write a Bible study, and I want to write a book, and I want to use my voice I just want to use my voice. So those are goals. Those are practical
We're in the
things
studio. You want to record a record?
No, see, like, not like singing. The word says make a joyful noise, but that ain't going to be joyful.
We're in a studio. We're like in an actual...
Like an actual
studio.
rock and roll studio.
And it feels pretty cool.
Thanks,
Okay,
James
Heidi.
and Mallory.
Yeah, thanks, James and
Yeah, so my dream is just to see like the kingdom of God here, like on earth. Like I want to see like
Stealing mine.
No,
No, let's
the
get
same,
out.
like the same. We're around each other a lot.
We're
But
like
just
the
to
same
see-
person. We're actually twins. We're sitting so close together. We're actually twins.
No, but just to see, like, I want to see miraculous things, because, like, the word says that, you know, that's happened, like, on earth. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and I, like, some goals, to actually see those things is, just to use, I guess, giftings, like, artistic giftings, find
Yeah.
artistic giftings in others and see, like, how we can bring that to the surface, how they can use their gifts, to, yeah, just see heaven on earth, I guess. And so another big thing, like, goal is to continue to think, like, positively. And so
Yeah, that's a really good.
So
Yeah.
that's practical.
yeah, like, just changing my way of thinking. I think, like, I've come a long way to where I used to be. So just knowing that, like, I have nothing to prove to, like,
Yeah.
anyone else, and, like, that's so big to me. I have to say that to myself over and over again. I have nothing to prove. Like, God knows, like, he understands, you know what I mean? And, like, you have friends who understand, but like that. And then also just to do it, like, exactly what we're talking about. Just, I'm gonna take a step, like, I'm just gonna do it, you know? What can I do for, like, if I don't have any money, like, what can I do for free? Like, you know what I mean? And
so good.
I don't know. Yeah, those are my goals.
That's awesome. And just going off of what you said, I have nothing to prove to
Yeah.
anyone. That's so good. That's such like an important thing to realize, an important step in being able to live in freedom and joy. And the reason that you can say I have nothing to prove is because also you treat people well.
Right.
You're very kind. So don't be one of those people who's like, I don't have anything to prove to you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah,
be rude. You know, like don't be rude. Like Heidi like cherishes people, is very loving and kind, and she lives with a heart posture that is like in love with Jesus. And so she knows who she is to Jesus.
Right.
And so she has nothing to prove. Like there's gonna be situations that all of us go into and like we're thinking, how am I here? You know, or like what are they thinking right now? But like just like know who you are to Jesus.
Yeah.
Be kind to the people around you and just be confident.
That's so good.
Be confident in who
Yes.
you are. Like you're so good at that. And then like you just bring confidence. Like whenever like I love leading worship with Heidi. Like whenever she's on the stage, I'm just like, yeah, we're just gonna do this together right now. You know, like I just feel like we're doing it together.
There was one thing she said too, like, I know I'm so much further. I think so much more differently than I did before. Would you say that you've completely arrived?
No, I'm
No.
still growing. Oh, something
So
that, like,
celebrate that.
Yes.
And give
Like,
yourself credit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
give yourself
Yes,
credit.
celebrate the victories along the way. One of the beautiful things about goals is sometimes, you know, we're gonna miss the mark, but sometimes we hit the mark. And when you hit the mark, celebrate that you
And
did.
sometimes we
That's
just
good.
barely hit that mark.
Celebrate.
Celebrate it!
Right.
Celebrate it!
Round those up.
Yeah,
Something
something.
that's a 0.5 but round it up.
Yeah.
So Stephanie Gretzinger, that's my girl. I love her. Something that she said that always stuck with me. She came up and spoke, and she said, "I wasn't always like this, and I won't always be like this." And I was just like,
Yeah.
"Wow, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
That's it.
insane." And like I always think about that, like, and that's what I think. Like I wasn't always like this, but I'm not done yet. So, so good. I
And
love
people
that.
aren't always going to understand your process. We'll just say that too. As you're walking along this journey, people are going to kind of freeze frame you. Maybe in the person you used to be, or how you used
That is
to
so
act,
good.
or how you used to think.
Yes.
But you
so
don't
different.
have to worry about people fully understanding the process,
That's
the
good.
rate at which you're moving and how you're moving. You and God are on a journey. Y'all are doing something together. And not everybody is going to necessarily deserve a front row seat as
Oh,
you're
that's
walking out
good.
this
Those
dream.
are good.
Some people get a
Deserve
balcony
a
seat. Some people get a balcony seat. And so you want to honor all, no matter what, whether they understand, whether they're dishonoring, you honor people. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We honor people. But as you're walking along this journey of dreaming, just know, I'm not where I want to be just yet, but you have no idea where I came from.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to know that. And so they don't even have to acknowledge it. He is acknowledging it. He's acknowledging your baby steps. He's acknowledging your strides. You might even be in a full-on sprint. He's acknowledging what you're doing. He acknowledges the heart posture.
Yeah.
He is so much more interested on what is going on in here and not out here.
Yeah.
I love, you know, when the prophet Samuel went to go find the next king, And he went into Jesse's
Yeah.
house and he begins to survey.
love
Jesse
this.
had 8 sons.
Yeah.
And one of them was in the pasture.
Yeah.
The other 7 were, Jesse gathered all of his sons. And he looked at Eliab, the oldest. The oldest was the tall one. He was the handsome one. He was the one that looked most like the king.
Yeah.
And Samuel said, surely that's the one. God said no. And then they go through this one, no. And we do this 7 times. And he goes to Jesse and he says, do you have one more? You see, Jesse didn't even call his son in from the pasture. He didn't even put him in the lineup. He wasn't
written him
even
off.
honorable mention. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't even on the bench. He wasn't even B team. He left him in the pasture.
Yeah.
And some of you are going to try and be discouraged. Don't do it, because people are going to try and disqualify you.
Yeah.
They're going to say the one who has it together. And God says, no, I want David.
Yeah.
Because Eliab looks good. But I look at something that goes far beyond what people look at. I don't care
Yeah,
what things look like on the
good.
outside. I am concerned with the heart posture. And David had a posture, not of perfection, but he had a posture of excellence.
Yeah.
Good.
And so it does not matter where you are in your praying, because you are not where you once were. Even if you've only taken a teeny tiny step, even if the only thing you've done is you've written down what your dream is, you've done something.
Yeah.
So you start there.
Yeah.
And do not be discouraged.
Yeah. And celebrate
Yeah.
those little victories.
Yes.
Like I think do something nice for yourself. When you notice that there's a victory, I love doing that. I love any excuse
Yeah.
to do something nice for myself. I'm like, I'm gonna celebrate.
Yeah.
Well, what are your dreams and your
Cook me a
goals?
steak.
Because
Yeah,
you can
give it-
celebrate them.
Okay, yeah. So we'll just start at the absolute biggest thing that I could ever imagine. You know, when the disciples asked Jesus how to pray, he says that Jesus says his will is on earth as in heaven. That's what Jesus revealed that his will to us is. And so my dream is to see heaven come to earth. And I won't be satisfied with anything less than that. That sounds huge. How can I practically see heaven come to earth? Well, a few things that I can do, set for myself as goals, is I want to raise my kids really well.
Yeah.
I want to raise my children to know the power of the Father, to know the power of prayer. I want my children to believe that, like to really believe anything is possible with God. I want my children at the end of every day to know that their mommy loves them and likes them.
Yeah.
You know, like that is huge to me. I want my husband to know that I cherish him and he is my greatest treasure. And I can say that I want heaven to come to earth, but at the end of the day, if the people that live closest to me don't know their value, then I haven't done anything. And so like there are days that I'm not particularly great at that. Like my daughter right now, she just turned 5, and her new thing is every time I have to correct a behavior in her out of protection, she likes to say, Mommy, you don't like me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, straight to my heart. Yes, I do like you. Come on, let's go buy some toys. Let's go buy some toys, you know, like, but like there's gonna be moments in that I do better than others. But like that is my ultimate goal forever and always. Like I
Ditto.
cherish
Ditto to that.
my husband and children, and I will see the heaven come to earth in them before I see it come to my city. I will see heaven come to earth in my home before I see it come in my church. And so like I'm going to steward that presence there, and that is my ultimate goal. Then a few other goals, like this is just what I do. I make goals for myself. I'm a worship leader. I'm a songwriter. I want to release more music. I want to lead worship with my husband and with my friends more often. But I don't want to do that just to sing songs. Like I'm doing that to bring an awareness of what is possible by the magnifying the name of Jesus. Like everything that I'm doing, every goal that I'm trying to achieve is for the purpose of making people realize that it's possible to have heaven come to earth. Like a really simple thing that I do to see heaven come to earth is organic gardening. Like to me, like the Lord speaks to me. So it's just something I enjoy doing. And it's a goal of mine to continue to do it, to continue to feel free to pursue something that I care about without feeling guilty for doing something that I care about.
Yeah.
And so, like, making a space for me to get out in the mud and the dirt and get messy and do things that are hard and take time because it's more beneficial to my body and my family.
Yeah.
You know, I see having come to earth there, and then, you know, doing
good.
stuff like this, podcasts.
Yeah.
Like, just like doing something. Like,
Yeah.
what can I physically do right now? Right now, I cannot get out in my garden. It is too wet. What else can I do? I can sit around a table with my friends and just talk about like what we're going through. I can't write a children's book right now.
Right.
What can I do? I can make dinner for my husband.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I could go home and do that.
And that stuff matters.
And it
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
It
matters.
It
Like it matters.
Yes.
Like what our children see. That matters because I may never see every person in Temple, Texas profess the name of Jesus as their Savior. But
your
who
kids
knows
might.
what Evie and Wyatt will
Right.
see?
That's
I
it.
may never walk into Scott and White Hospital and see every person on a hall healed.
Right.
But if I raise my children
Yeah.
to believe that that's possible, who knows what my grandchildren will see? It's like we have to live like past what's possible past my lifetime.
Yes.
What's possible in the seeds that I'm planting that will continue to grow beyond my lifetime? And am I nourishing that seed so that it will continue to grow?
Yeah.
That's
That's
Like
really
that's
good.
that's it. That's why we say that you can live your dream presently, because what you're doing in the present matters. If I'm sure that you could kind of pick up through each of us that we have different passions. The artistic and the worship, man, all over here. Like teaching and process is going to be a little bit more over here. But there is no like magical day that we're going to live this thing out. We're doing it today.
Yeah.
So like if serving or nurturing or teaching is anywhere in your dream, look at your children. Because your kids, like, that's it. That makes me so excited to think about what my kids could do. Did you know that sometimes you're actually dreaming dreams that are not yours at all? They're for your children. Like David had a dream. He had a dream to build a house of God. He had a dream to build the temple. And God said no, that you're not going to get to do that. But your son's going to get to. And so David had a choice. He could choose to just say, okay, well then I'll just leave it all up to Solomon. He'll figure it all out on his own. Or he could say, well then I am going to do everything that I possibly can in my lifetime to make sure that Solomon is set up in the best possible way to get the house of God built. So he spent his life preparing for Solomon to live out his dream.
He fought all the battles.
Like,
Solomon lived in a
that's
time
it.
of peace.
I mean, like, that's
It's
it.
good.
So, parents, like, if you're parents of a small child and, like, what are you doing and what are you willing to do to see your kids live out the dreams that maybe God has, like, placed in your heart? I mean, are you willing to surrender that dream so much that you never get to see it fulfilled, but your kids do? Like, your kids do.
It's good.
The coolest thing ever, I think about that, like, I have a dream or a goal to write a book, but what if I never get to write the book? What if I just journal so much through my lifetime that all of a sudden one of my girls, years down the road, has all this information and these revelations from the Lord that they publish a book about me, or about, not even about me, but like about what I went through. And what if that's what God uses? Because all this stuff that I'm going through isn't for my generation, it's for generation in the future. But I need to go through it now. So stick in there with your present. Stick in there. Live. Go home and make dinner for your husband. And make a good one. Like, don't make ramen noodles.
Yeah, unless that's his favorite.
If you do,
Unless it's his favorite.
just make him food.
Just put some
Disney
salt.
food. Well, Heidi, tell us how they can connect with us during the week.
Yeah, so we do have our Facebook page, which is Threads Podcast, of course, so you can like that page and follow us there. We also have an Instagram, Threads_podcast. You can follow us there. We post stories and post and you can comment any questions that you have. If you'd like to email us questions, you can email us at threadspodcast4@gmail. So just ask as many questions. We're actually going to answer a question that we actually got. So
Hey,
Danielle.
real quick, speaking of emailing us, we love you too, Terry. We got
Yes,
an email from
Terry.
Terry Worley telling us how much she
Aw.
loved us, and we cherish you, Terry. Terry carries a lot of people, and we love her.
And we will have this being uploaded on iTunes soon.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. It's gonna be
So,
an actual podcast.
It's not there yet, but it will be on
Hey.
iTunes with Apple.
Internet's rough at the RV. RV living. You
Y'all.
think it's like rough, and then you realize there's no internet too. Oh my gosh.
So we'll let y'all know when that's up.
I'm going for my dreams though with what I got in my hand.
That's right.
Right.
Unfortunately, can someone put internet in my hands, please?
So we got some questions, and this is one of them.
This is one of the questions that we want to answer. So she asked about, she feels like she's in a rut. And she asked about getting out of the rut. How do you get out of the rut? When you feel like you know God, but you don't know him, there's like a rut that you get stuck in. How do you get yourself out of that? Like, where do you even practically begin?
I feel like we unpacked a lot
I
of
feel
that
like we really did. We unpacked a lot of that today.
So just go back
hope
and
you
listen. Just
I
go
hope you got
back.
some really good ideas. I'm gonna just add like a couple things just real quick to that. If you want to go from a place of knowing God to knowing God, you've got to get to know him up here pretty well. And we talked about starting in the Gospels and starting in like Matthew or John. I want to encourage you, actually I'm going to break away from them for a second and encourage you to start in Luke, because Luke is like, it reads like a story. So the book of Luke is the best narrative of Christ's life that the Gospels give us. Matthew is amazing for historical stuff. It's written to a Jewish audience, so there's going to be a lot of Old Testament in there. Mark reads like an action movie. Everything kind of jumps, and it's not in chronological order, so you can get lost a little bit. Luke starts at the beginning of his story, and it finishes at the end of his story. The book of John you need to go to next, because it is the most beautiful portrait of Christ. Once you get to know his life, then you need to get to know him as a man. Yeah. So then you get to really see his heart and the heart of God, and you can connect with those two. I promise you, if you are reading Luke and John, I just did this like a year and a half ago. If you're reading those books, asking for him to open your eyes to who he is, the revelations that he's going to just pour off the page to you are going to come every day. Have a journal ready. I encourage you to have a journal, a pen. Man, write down what he's saying to you, because you're going to walk out of those books knowing him, because you're going to experience him. Holy Spirit is in those pages, and man, ask him to reveal Christ to you through that.
I would also encourage you to serve. There are moments when you just get stuck in a rut, and oftentimes in those moments, it's very easy to be inward focused. Like the problem seems so huge. And so we focus on the problem. And so one of the best ways, the most practical and easy ways, is just to go and serve other people.
Yeah.
Like what it does is it's going to help you shift your focus from me to them.
Yeah.
And it's a great perspective changer.
Yeah.
And that's like the heart
That's
of
good.
Jesus. He
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a servant leader. And so if you are doing that, you are learning who he is in his word, and you are serving the people around you in the most practical ways.
Yeah.
It can be so simple.
Yeah.
And there's need all around.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
I promise. The thing that looks so huge, the thing that is just like right in your face, all of a sudden it's going to take a back seat. You're going to be able to see other people's needs around you, and it's going to do something inside of you.
Yeah.
There's going to be some things that begin to shift and break, and before you know it, it's like, okay, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay.
Yeah, so like serving, I mean, like obviously you go serve at a soup kitchen, you know, you could serve in your church. And then there's even more even more simple things than that, which you should do those things. But like, hey, I'm feeling really down right now. I'm so focused on myself. Who's one of my friends? Heidi. Okay, so instead of me thinking about how down I'm feeling, let me text Heidi and say, hey Heidi, just thinking about you. How are you doing today? You know, like let me shift my focus to another person through a text message. That's serving someone, asking them how they're doing,
Right.
and then loving on them. Or like maybe you want to physically do something and you're like, I don't know where a soup kitchen is. Like you can literally just like make sandwiches. Like I know this girl who just makes sandwiches and drives around and looks for people like walking down the road and gives them a sandwich, okay? Or I mean, there's like just super practical things that you can do that will bring so much life. If you're in a rut, the enemy loves us to focus on ourselves during a rut because he wants us to stay there.
That's really
But
good.
just open our eyes,
Yeah.
reach out. You get it?
Yeah, and so kind of going along with that, like isolation, when you're isolated, like that's where the enemy gets you the most. And that's when you start thinking about all this other stuff.
then-
It keeps going. It gets
And
worse
then you're
and worse.
isolated and nobody's telling you, hey, that's not real.
Yeah.
How you're
Yeah,
feeling. It's
exactly.
not real.
Yeah, so you need those people around you. Like you need friends around you that can encourage you and say like it's not as big as you think it is, or you're gonna get through this. It's not gonna last forever. Like you know, you just need people speaking into you, and also you need to just hang out with your friends to like you mentioned this. Yeah, you just need to hang out with your friends and get your mind off of it. You know.
Yeah, and then some of you may be thinking, I'd love to hang out with my friends if I had any. I don't even know how to make a friend. I mean, something that I think is a great way to make a friend is find a church to get involved in and go get involved in a small group of friends. Like some people think, well, I'm not going to go to church because it's full of hypocrites or because I've always been hurt there. Okay, churches are full of people.
Talk about that one day.
We will.
That'd be a good podcast.
Churches are full of people,
Yeah.
okay? And people are people, but there is life in that messiness.
Yes.
And so just if you need friends, if you want good friends, don't go looking to a club where everyone is drunk for a friend that's going to be able to pick you up and carry you, because I'm not talking down on people that live that lifestyle, but like you're going to need hope that sustains through all of that, you know? So like go to, I don't know, make some friends in a small group at church. And if you go to a church that doesn't have small groups, start them at that church. And if they're like, no, we're not going to start them, we'll go find a small group.
Essentially, be what you need.
Yeah.
Be what you need. If you need a friendship in your life, you be a friend. If you need to see God's financial blessing in your life, you be a financial blessing to somebody. You be exactly what you need, and that is essentially lining you up for the goodness and the favor of God. It happens every time. So,
Hey,
all right, guys.
do we know what we're going to talk about next week? Have we decided?
I don't think we have. but
Okay,
we
let's
will
do
let
it.
you
No,
know.
let's do it. Let's talk about be what you need. Can we talk about that next week?
Be what you need.
Yeah, like let's make it a thing. I think that'll be interesting. Be what you need.
Be
Let's
what
do
you
it.
need. Well, we're going to be talking about be what you need next
What
week.
does that even mean?
We're gonna
We'll
find
figure
out.
it
You'll
out.
find out
Yes.
next week. You'll find out next week. You gotta tune in though.
All right, guys.
Bye. How do we end it? Oh, I think it's
On
the
the
upper
top right.
corner.
Oh, dear.
We're learning as we go. Wait, what does it say?
Are you sure?